Welcome to the Battlefield 6 Intel Report. In this series, we're diving deep into the gameplay mechanics of the new Battlefield game to bring you best tips and guides possible. My goal is simple: to give you an advantage over the enemy and help you become a better player. Some of the key things we'll be covering include map knowledge. This will give you a better understanding of capture zones, power positions, choke points, flanks and rotation paths that will be crucial. Class guides will break down individual kits and show you how different classes work together to achieve much more. Vehicle and flight school, essential driver's ed to effectively add that vehicle pressure to the war zone. So without further ado, let's stop talking about it and let's get into it. Welcome again, I'm Trey Rorschach, and today we're going to be going over the support class. So without wasting any time, I'm going to get straight into the gadgets that you're going to be using in Battlefield 6. First thing we're going to go over is the supply bag. Now when you throw this down, you're going to want to hover over the bag to resupply health and ammo, and the same thing for your teammates. If you press X to pick up the supply bag, if you're going to move to another location, push another objective, or so on and so forth, this is going to reduce the cooldown of that supply bag. If you play a different class, you can still use the supply bag to great effect. So if you see a supply class on the floor and you've run out of ammo, for example, you want to pick up that supply class, throw the supply bag down, use the utility, heal any teammates that are injured, and then pick up your class and hover over that supply bag to get your ammo back. Two more things that are going to help you resupply your teammates are the signature trait field sustainment. This distributes health packs to teammates when they directly interact with you. Restock allies class active ability as well. Resupply and heal nearby friendly forces for 10 seconds, and reviving teammates only takes 1.7 seconds. A quick note to mention is the one-time supply pouch, a gadget as well. This is like an emergency pouch that will give you ammo and health if you really needed it. It also applies to your teammates if your teammates are low on ammo and health, so just remember that going forward. So next, how do we use the defib correctly? So first of all, if you have the opportunity, charge the defib to get a full heal on your teammates. Use smoke to cut off enemy lines of sight rather than throwing on your teammates that are injured, and you'll have much more benefit taking those players out and pushing up and reviving your teammates, because you'll have the cover of the smoke. They'll have to run out into the open. You can pick them off, run up to your teammates, get that quick revive, and then you'd still use that smoke to push up on the objective. Another quick tip for the defib is that you run faster with it out, which gives you the option to use the sledgehammer instead of a knife. So you've got the option to pop open some walls or some floors for a better vantage point on the enemy. Another quick tip for reviving your teammates is if you mark your teammates, you can let them know that you're coming in for a revive, and there'll be a little arrow indicator in green in the bottom left hand corner of your screen, letting you know that that player is on their way. Next, I want to go over the deployable cover. I don't really use this piece of equipment too much, but I know it does definitely have its uses, cutting off doorways, making things more difficult to come up stairways, so on and so forth. It reduces explosive damage, and as I said, it's a great cut-off tool if you want to cut the enemy off and force them into a mantle where you can take them out quite easily. Before I go over the rest of the gadgets, I want to quickly go over the grenades. So you've got frag grenades, smoke grenades, and incendiary grenades on these classes. The smoke grenades clear all markers on you and your teammates. So this, as I said, if you put the smokes in their enemy line of sight where they have to run out into the open to engage you, this is going to benefit you pushing objectives and getting those revives on your teammates. The Incendiaries are great for pushing people out of cover or pushing people off flags, and when paired with one of the gadgets I'm going to talk about later, this becomes really, really powerful. As for the frag grenade is the frag grenade. Does a lot of damage, bounces around corners, and you can use it wisely to clear out buildings if you know what you're doing. So the next gadgets I'm going to talk about are the mortar, the smoke launcher and the airburst. First of all, the mortar, you want to be using that with smokes first to keep your cover, because when you're using the mortar you are located on the map every time, so use smokes first to create that blanket of cover, and then hit mortar strikes to get assists and kills while they're trying to push an objective you're trying to defend. That's the best way I think you should use the mortar. I think the best gadget out of the three is the smoke launcher, because you can pair that with the incendiary grenade, and then you can create a blanket of cover, and you can use the incendiary grenade to force them out of that cover into the open, as I use an incendiary grenade in the video to burn my own face. How awful that is, how embarrassing. As for the airburst, I haven't really tried it yet, but from what I've seen watching YouTube and other videos, that it's not the greatest. It's kind of a mix of a smoke and an incendiary together, but from what I can tell, the incendiary grenade itself is so overpowered compared to the incendiary shotgun or the incendiary airburst from what I can tell, so I'd stick with the combo of the smoke grenade launcher and the incendiary to be sure. The next two gadgets depend on what game mode you're playing, I suppose. So I think for the smaller game modes you want to be using the GPDIS to stop grenades and incendiary grenades and light explosives. Chuck one down on a flag, for example, while you're capturing a flag, and all you've got to worry about is gunfire and which direction it's coming from. On the other hand, you've got the MPAPS, and this intercepts missiles, tank rounds and things like that. So if you're playing a game like Conquest or Breakthrough and you want to run a support on a tank, for example, you'd be able to hop out, clear the flag, chuck one of these missile interceptors down, and it creates a one-way line of fire for your tank to absolutely dominate that flag. And you can sit in the flag and make sure no one's coming up behind with C4 or a rocket launcher, for example. Let's talk about the two training paths. Mainly I want to talk about combat medic. So level 0 is absolutely great. You could drag soldiers 20% faster, revive them 2.5 seconds quicker. Absolutely phenomenal. Level 1 is another great perk. Revive down teammates, triggers passive health regeneration. Unless you get hit with a couple of bullets, then you get a kind of like delay to that healing. Level 2 I think could be flipped over to fire support, and we could have a different perk on combat medic to balance it out a little bit more, and I'll go into that in just a second. But what defense focused is at level 2 is gadgets are resupply rate at 25% quicker, so you can chuck 2 of these gadgets down, the GPDIS or the MPAPS, and your deployable cover will take 10% less damage on top of that as well. So it's a good perk for all of your gadgets, and I honestly think it fits with fire support, because the deployable cover, most of the perks in fire support actually involve you mounting your weapon, so we'll go into that in a second. So let's talk about fire support. I'm not overly impressed with this training path, seeing as you have to unlock it. I do feel that level 2 on this training path should be defense focused from the combat medic path, but your level 0 is really good, faster ammo resupply with the supply bag. Your level 1 is really good, except for 25% reduction on explosive splash damage while prone or shooting from mounted positions. I think they should get rid of mounted positions and just be like prone or crouched. If you're prone or crouched, you're going to take reduced damage from grenades and so on and so forth. I think that would be better for balancing. It'd make me want to use it a little bit more. And then level 2 is steady aim, and that improves control when weapons are shooted from mounted positions. And if I'm honest with you, isn't that what mounting your weapon's supposed to do anyway? How much better accuracy can you get from a perk on top of that? I think it's a bit of a pointless perk for level 2, and it's a bit weak. So I would definitely change fire support, if I'm being honest with you. Just remember, these levels do mean something as well, so you do need to get a certain amount of points to reach level 1, reach level 2, reach level 3. So a lot of people think these are just passive perks. They're not. You need to treat them a little more like score streaks. You've got to activate them by getting a certain amount of points. So certain tactics are going to really help, like the motion sensor on the recon perk, for example. If you put that inside a zone that's being heavily captured on and off, you're going to get lots and lots of points for doing nothing, and you're going to activate your perks much more quickly. So just keep that in mind when you're running around the map trying to stay alive and activate these things, that all your points matter. It's not just your kill death ratio that matters in this game. It's how you build your points and how you gather your perks and how you use your perks wisely as well. Because a lot of these training paths, I've started to realise while making these videos, are not the most perfectly set up, and I might have to redo the engineer and assault training path videos just to show you what I mean, how you could probably make these training paths a little bit better. Let's go into one of my class setups and what some of my favourite tactics to use during playing the support class, I should say. So first of all, I'd run the combat medic training path, the defib, the smoke grenade launcher, the incendiary grenade, and a sledgehammer. You use the smokes to create a blanket of cover in front of the enemy to help capture objectives or to heal your teammates if they're in need. Revive your teammates wisely and choose carefully players behind cover and players who won't die immediately after you revive them. This one is so important to your gameplay because you don't want to revive 5 players and all of them get shot dead in a millisecond, and it happens too much on the game. Just be a little more patient, and the people on the ground as well, wait for your revives a little more patiently. Trust me, someone's coming. Stay close to large groups of teammates, close to objectives, and sit behind your team front line, resupply and heal. It doesn't matter if you don't get that many kills. You're doing your team a favour, you're keeping your team in the game, and you're keeping those tickets alive. Use LMGs to control choke points and flags, and use the sledgehammer to destroy cover and structures to surprise the enemy. If you're using the mortar strike like I am in the video clip in the background, you want to be using smokes first, like I said earlier, but once you switch to your explosive rounds, or your explosive shells to be precise, you want to be hitting the same location over and over and over again. This is because the accuracy and the blast radius both increase the closer you get to enemies, but the less you move your crosshairs on the map. So the more still you keep those mortar strikes, the more damage and the more assists you're going to actually get while using this piece of equipment. It's very tactical, and as I said, definitely use smokes first to cover your location on the map and cover any pings for your teammates. The support class is best used as support. Not focused too much on kills, but more focused on keeping your teammates alive and creating that cover to push objectives. Really focus on those qualities rather than your KD ratio, and you'll really surpass your abilities as a support player. Stick around to the end of the video to see how I utilize the mortar strikes and stop the enemy pushing up on the flag during breakthrough. I utilize the mortar strike really well using smokes first, as I've already said, and then mortar striking the enemy location over and over. If you have a team of these, I reckon you could absolutely dominate certain flag points on certain conquest maps, and it could be really beneficial to your gameplay. So just keep an eye on that. I'm going to be using it a little bit more in the future. If this video helps you in any way, you've enjoyed the gameplay, anything of the sort, please like, subscribe, share the video. I'll love you and leave you with the rest of the gameplay, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Fucking